race car spelled backwards is still race car. Welcome to the Race Car Spelled Backwards podcast. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Brad, and with me is Jamie, and this is the Race Car Spelled Backwards podcast. Coming off a hot weekend at COTA. Well, I say a hot weekend.
It was 88 degrees.
I'm not a huge road course fan, so I can't get overly excited about this COTA race, but I'm going to give it my all.
It had its moments.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say it was horrible. I'm not a fan of the road courses, man. It's just, maybe it's not all road courses. I think it's something about this COTA road course with 20 turns and 4 minutes long at speed that just bores me, I guess, in a sense. Like, I really don't know. It's hard to explain. I don't know if it's the new cars or what it is, but the race in general just, to me, was not that interesting, to the point where the commercials didn't even bother me.
Yeah, I have to agree. And I didn't like COTA. I don't know, was it 5 years ago when F1 showed up and I watched it? I don't know what it is about COTA.
So I was listening to the Jeff Gluck and Jordan Bianchi, the teardown, this morning, and one of the things that Jordan Bianchi had to say about this track is that it's too forgiving. He said it was too forgiving with F1 and too forgiving with NASCAR. And I think that might play a part into why I don't like the road course racing at COTA, because maybe it's not as much of a challenge. You know, it's last year we had a foot of water on the track, so it was kind of hard to base anything off last year. But like I said, man, I didn't get excited. I did watch the whole race. The ending was great, but that was kind of it for me.
Yeah, I think my favorite road course is Watkins Glen. And I don't know if it's because I've seen it my entire life on TV and I'm used to it. I don't know.
Yeah, Watkins Glen to me is a fast-paced road course, so they have a lot higher speeds at Watkins Glen. But even Sonoma, I mean, I enjoy watching it twice a year, but I think the amount of road courses we're going to now, it's just not my thing. Like, if somebody else likes it, that's okay. And if going to COTA once a year helps to grow the sport, then I'm okay with going to COTA. I don't hate it. Like, I hate Phoenix. Phoenix is a boring race. But COTA, it's doable. I mean, like I said, I was able to watch it, but I gave it a 5 out of 10. You know, I'm right there in the middle on it.
Well, the way I felt about COTA was it was exciting after every caution for a half a lap. When they got, I don't know what you want to call it, funneled down to single file, it was just boring. One. Yeah, after turn one was amazing on a caution. Insane. I mean, you got 5, 6 wides with bumper cars. But after turn one, you're like, all right, you might get to turn 2, turn 3, turn 4, and there's still a little fighting. But by about turn 5 or 6, they're single file. And it's single file until the next caution.
Well, I also think it's got a lot to do with the drivers. So I think the drivers, their talent on a road course is a lot better than it used to be. You know, 15, 20 years ago, you had 2 road courses a year. You just wanted to survive. You know, that's when your Boris Seds and Andy Lallys and all these guys, these road course ringers per se, they could come in and subpar equipment and still get a top 15 finish. Now, it's not happening. I mean,
well, Boris what did he finish? 33rd?
Now, Boris Sev finished 26th, but I never even heard his name really mentioned on the broadcast because he was never a factor. You got Andy Lally finished dead last because he had suspension issues. He only ran 19 laps. Joey Hand was driving a Rick Ware car and spun out at least twice. I remember seeing him spin around. So, I mean, you had some ringers in there, but between this new car and the talent level of our drivers for the NASCAR series, I think it's just a lot harder to come in and be a ringer anymore. So,
Can you imagine how many laps do you think Hand or Boris said had in the car? Just the practice laps and qualifying?
that's
I
probably
mean,
it.
it's a totally different car than what they were to be ringers with. I mean,
Oh,
they
no
had the
doubt.
H pattern before. Now it's sequential shifting.
Well, I heard Andy Lally talking about this car after practice. I guess it would have been Saturday's practice. Andy was saying that the way the car shifted, the way the car controlled, the way it felt driving was similar to that Trans Am series. And he's running the Trans Am series, so I think he had suspension issues. I think if you would have put Andy Lally in the 15 car for Rick Ware Racing, he would have probably done a little better than we're. I'm not saying he would have done better than Joey Hand. I don't know Joey Hand. I have nothing bad against the guy, or I know absolutely nothing other than his name. But I know Andy Lally from the X Games, so I think if you put Andy Lally in a better car, he does a little bit better than dead last. But I think these cars, yesterday, like you said, once they come out of turn one, it's single file and they pass every now and then. But I think between their ability of our drivers and the fact that these next gen cars run so good at a road course, this is just kind of what we're going to get. I mean, we had no cautions in stage one or stage two, except for the end of the stage breaks.
Well, I'm hoping Sonoma and Watkins Glen will be more traditional, what I expected last year and prior years. I I just hope it's COTA's the problem, not the
I,
car.
and I think it probably is, to be honest with you. I think that's what we're all going to see is that COTA was probably. I mean, there's a lot of things about this track. The fact that on a caution lap, if they ran 3 to 4 laps under caution, minutes, that's a problem for me. I don't have a long attention span anyway, so 15 minutes is gonna lose my attention by the time you come back from commercial or wherever you go.
Well, one, I'm going to be a little negative on Fox again. Why is it when a car pops a tire or whatever you want to call it, breaks down, why do I have to watch the car for 4 miles doing 10 miles an hour?
Because there's absolutely nothing else to show you. That's why. I think I'm giving Fox a pass here for COTA. Fox did no wrong at COTA. For me, like you can still have your opinion on them, obviously, because we're allowed to have our own opinions, especially on this show because it's an all-American show. But I give them a pass because, like, what else were they going to show you? I mean, we complain when they show us in cars, single file racing. I'm okay with, but dude, there was not a lot to see at COTA. I mean, they should have just went through the stands. And we could have just looked at the people in the stands and talked about their T-shirts or their sunglasses or their hats or,
Well,
you
I
know,
saw Suarez do an entire lap with a flat, doing 5 miles an hour. Why the hell do I, I mean, it was like watching water drip from a faucet.
yeah. I mean, I thought the whole COTA race was like watching paint dry, but I watched it. So what's that say about me?
That you were hoping for the finish you got, and at least you got a good finish.
Yeah, a dang good finish. I mean, let's just go ahead and talk. It's exciting. This podcast is starting out not exciting already. So let's talk about the last lap. So going on to the last lap, had a restart coming into the end of the race. green, white checkered. Ross Chastain jumps out front, holds off. Somehow or another, everybody keeps from wrecking on the last lap. We get the white flag. Really, for the first 10 corners, it looked like Ross Chastain was going to leave them. But I think Ross was being careful, trying not to overdrive the car through the turns, but also driving just hard enough not to get caught by AJ and Alex Bowman. And then coming down, I guess it was probably turn 18, I would think, 18 or 19. It looks like AJ gets into Ross, gets him loose, and then going into the last couple turns of the track, Ross just pushes AJ out of the way and wins the race. I mean, look, it was a boring race, but the last lap was highly entertaining. So I don't think, like on the Jeff Gluck poll, I didn't vote yes because of the last lap, but I did enjoy the last lap. And it was awesome to see another first-time winner win a race this year.
I mean, that was beating and banging, man. And I thought it was post-race. I thought Allmendinger was hilarious. He was such a poor loser. He did the same thing that Chastain did two turns later and wrecked him.
Some guy called in on I think it was the morning drive with Mike Bagley this morning. He called in. He said, I don't like what Ross Chastain did. I don't agree with it in any way whatsoever. I think it was wrong. I think it's dirty driving. Driver myself, and I would not be able to sleep at night. I'd driven like that. And Mike Bagley and Pete Pistone pointed out to him, well, didn't AJ do it to him a couple corners before that? And he's like, nope, completely different. AJ hit him from the side. Ross Chastain hit him in the back.
So what? A hit's a hit.
What an idiot, man. I mean, who really cares who hit who where? This is racing. They're going for the win. For one, AJ Allmendinger is not a full-time driver. He's out there trophy hunting. Do whatever you got to do, AJ, but don't get out of the car and cry. Nobody wants to hear you cry. We've got Kyle Busch for that. We don't need AJ Allmendinger crying.
And AJ doesn't go to the playoffs. Like you said, he's hunting trophies.
Exactly. If I was Ross Chastain, I'd have wrecked everybody out there to win that race if that's what it took. But that's not the reason Ross Chastain won that race. I mean, Ross Chastain led a total of 31 laps. I mean, he didn't back. You can't even say he wrecked AJ Allmendinger. He led 31 of 69 laps today. Started on the flipping pole. You know, he did everything he do to, and I'm all about it. Way to go.
No, I mean, he did what he had to do to win. I completely agree with you. I mean, that's what he had to do.
I mean,
and he did it.
Trackhouse has been strong this year. I mean, the first 6 races of the year are in the books, and 2 of the guys who have been up front in almost every race this year so far has been Daniel Suarez and Ross Chastain. I mean, Trackhouse Racing has shown that they're the real deal. They're here to play, and they're here to stay.
No, I mean, Suarez is going to get a win. I mean, there's just no way. He's not this year. He's going to get it. And we all wrote him off, man. I wrote him off.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I had Trackhouse doing okay this year. I thought maybe we would see a little life out of them into the season. I don't think I necessarily expected them to be this strong this early in the year, but you know, Justin Marks he's doing what he's got to do, and you know, who is it? Ty something. It's Ty Norris, you know, from DEI. And Michael Waltrip Racing. He's over there with Justin Marks. So he's basically built 3 winning cup teams in 3 decades.
No, I mean, they're doing a fantastic job. And we've talked about Ross a lot in our podcast because he's been leading a lot this year so far. I mean, we both said he's going to win soon.
Heck, I've got him winning next weekend. Why not?
I mean, what he did at Atlanta was amazing. I mean, he led.
He did good at Atlanta. He did good at Phoenix. He did good at Las Vegas. I mean, I think he's got like a third, second, and then a first.
And I'm telling you, old Mr. Tony Stewart, he's got his number one driver. He was contending too, man. You know?
Briscoe?
Yeah, Briscoe was in it to win it. And, you know, he just faded back there. But, man, that is –
he got a penalty.
Yeah, but that –
for cutting the track or cutting the course or whatever. He got a penalty for that and got sent to
yeah, on that S turn. I thought they gave it. They gave him a penalty and they appealed it and won, but he had lost a bunch of track position.
Yeah, and then that got him into some crap towards the end that kind of pushed him even farther back.
Yeah.
So NASCAR, they made a mistake. Which here, this brings me to a good point. So NASCAR sends out an email because they don't do driver meetings anymore. So they send out an email to all the teams and all the drivers telling them the track will be exactly the same as it was in 2021 when we were here last year. So the drivers set up their simulators at their shops, or Toyota, Chevy, Ford set up their simulators to run the track just like it was last year. Then NASCAR removes the curbs and the turtles from the S turns without telling anybody until they go do the track walk on Saturday. Then they get out there and walk the track, and they're like, wait a minute, something's different here. And nobody had said anything. I mean, Kevin Harvick made the comment that when he realized the curbs and turtles had been removed in the S turns, that his stomach dropped because all that practice and all the hours from all the teams that had went into the simulation was now thrown out the window because NASCAR went and did something, and NASCAR pulled a typical NASCAR move.
Well, that's what happens when it's privately held and one family controls it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
just
not
saying.
Disagreeing, or I mean, it is what it is. You know, getting mad about it ain't going to change it, but it's just we get no consistency with cautions, and now they can't even get the track layout correct when they send it to the drivers. So if I was a driver, did you see
I would
when
be
they
too.
did that? Did you see on the track walk when they did it, Bubba Wallace was riding his longboard skateboard and wiped out?
Yeah, I saw that.
I didn't know Bubba Wallace was a skateboarder. I mean, I know he's a metalhead, but I didn't know he was a skateboarder. That's kind of cool.
Well, he sure didn't show up to this one.
No, and then his wheel falls off and he finishes one spot ahead of dead last. So I guess
it's not his fault the wheel fell off. That is a crew member's fault.
Booty, they're gonna get a 4-week vacation.
It seems that we're all gonna have one or two crew chiefs or crew members suspended for a month.
Yeah, I don't think we've had all the crew chiefs there for the clash. I feel like somebody's been suspended or not in the race, at least as far as the crew chief side goes, since we've been out in the LA Coliseum. So I mean, we've had a wheel fall off just about every week.
I think we have, but you know, this isn't new technology. And these crew members, aren't they full-time staff members? I mean, don't they practice during the week, or am I hallucinating?
No, I think most of them are full-time, and they definitely practice during the week. But they also, a lot of the bigger teams are not allowing their crew guys to do Saturday races or truck races, Xfinity or truck. That way they're not getting confused. Go 5-lug, single lug. This way they one or the other. So
So Bubba raced in the Xfinity in the 18 car. I'm wondering if he used his same crew.
I doubt it because Gibbs is a large team. So I would think that they're probably not letting their Sunday pit crew work on Saturday just because it's a different layout. I mean, it's all muscle memory. And really, I personally think these tires falling off will stop or become less and less as the season goes on. These guys are trying to be as fast as possible every stop. And I think that's what we're seeing. These wheels fall off. They're just not getting them tight enough. And especially on a road course, man, you're going left and right. So it adds a whole nother factor and probably adds more load to that wheel during the turn. So if the thing's loose, it's going to fly off.
And I don't remember if this was in a broadcast or one of the little YouTube shows or podcasts that I listened to, but what I remember hearing somewhere, and I can't give credit where it's due because I don't remember, you have to hold that wrench straight.
I
Or
feel
it
like
won't.
I feel like Larry Mack said that.
Maybe he did. But if it's not straight, it doesn't go on all the way. I do remember distinctly when they showed in slow motion the replay, you could see that one nut fly off before the wheel fell off.
Yeah, that's an issue. I don't remember seeing the replay of this one. I need to go back
And it might have been on one of the I watch at the next morning the replay on YouTube. NASCAR throws up. I got a question for you. What do you think of Kozlowski getting fined? I mean, just hammered for screwing around with a body panel.
I would like to know more detail, to be honest with you. I like Brad Keselowski. I really didn't see them being the first guys to get hit with this, but I applaud NASCAR. I think NASCAR said, if you do this, we are going to do this. Well, Brad apparently did this, and NASCAR did exactly what they said they were going to do. You know, we're screaming for consistency and NASCAR to follow through and all this crap. They did. I mean, I hate it for Brad. I mean, I really do hate it for Brad because it really screwed him over. But, you know,
what do you think it's going to take him to make the playoffs now? 2 wins? Will 2 wins do it?
I think 1 win will do it. I don't know.
What if there's more than 16 winners, though? I mean, we've had a ton of winners.
Yeah, we're 6 for 6 right now. Here's a stat that's I think is kind of funny, or maybe not funny. I really don't know how you. It's just kind of ironic right now. Brad Keselowski is sitting 34th in points. David Reagan is 33rd in points with 2 starts. BJ McLeod is 32nd in points with 5 starts. So Brad's had 6 starts and is behind both of those guys in points now. I mean, Cody Ware is now ahead of Brad Keselowski.
Thank God. Cody needs a little recognition for whatever he does. I'm not sure what he does. I think I could do as well as Cody Ware.
I think you could.
If you gave me a race car.
I think you put me on top of the pit box as the crew chief, you in the car, we'll do better than Cody Ware.
I mean, Joey Logano proves, and even you can drive with glasses on.
What track would you want to
put me in? You know, I've always thought that Dover was just awful.
So you think Dover, or would you rather do a road course? I think a road course I think you personally would do better at a road course. And my math isn't great, but I can count backwards. So I could do the pit stops from, like you start from the back and work your way forward.
Watkins Glen would then, I would love to do Watkins Glen.
All right, Rick Ware, if you're out there and you happen to be listening to this podcast, we're in. Put us in the 15. we'll do it for free.
Yeah, we won't charge you a penny, and we'll do as well as Cody.
Yeah, and if we don't, then you don't have to give us another opportunity. We'll be okay. And
Yeah, we're
then we'll have
good.
something to talk about on the show.
I don't know how I do sequential shifting,
Yeah, I could do that.
but
That's up and
you
down.
know,
That's
yeah,
common.
it's
That's
neutral 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, isn't it?
yeah. I could do that. That's even that fits in with my basic math skills.
Is reverse past neutral? Is it reverse neutral? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
I don't know, but we'd
What is
figure it out.
reverse? Pit would be my only issue, I think.
Pitting?
Yeah,
Ah, we get a big old sign that says statisticals, and you just have to hit it.
yeah. A bunch of numbers and a ball sack.
Yeah.
Statisticals.
Run into your statisticals. Stop here. So did you see Kyle Busch got all pissed off during practice and qualifying again and said this car sucked. They're not going to be able to pass anything. You don't even know why they're trying anymore.
Isn't it weird? Most drivers are like really nice and calm on a contract year. They walk on eggshells and try to be very diplomatic, except for Kyle Busch. Even his
Wait,
brother in a contract year.
so I guess it didn't even click in my head that it was a contract year. But what if Kyle already knows he's not invited back to the team next year and he's on his own? What if Kyle already knows that young little Ty Gibbs is going to be sitting in the 18 in 2023? What if that's why Kyle's got such a piss poor attitude here lately? I mean, Kyle's been pissed off since Daytona, literally. Every
I mean,
weekend,
yeah,
he's pissed
just
off.
constantly. I mean, my thinking is, regardless of Ty's last name, let's forget his last name. He's winning, man. And he's winning a lot. If you're a team owner, can you afford to hold a winner like that back?
No,
I
I honestly figured he would get Kyle or Denny's spot. I figured Denny would go drive for 2311 and Ty Gibbs would move into the 11. I mean, that's honestly what I thought was going to happen. But Kyle,
Ty Gibbs reminds me of a young Kyle Busch.
I mean, I feel
He's
like
got that talent.
I've even heard Ty Gibbs say that he contributes a lot of his racing styles from watching Kyle run when Kyle was younger and Kyle was growing up watching him race. So, I mean, it looks a heck of a lot like it.
And for Ty, I know you're a fan of Ty. I'm a fan of Ty, but not. I love to hate him, just as I love to hate Kyle.
I want to hate him. I'll be honest, I really do because I feel like
I don't hate him. That's just horrible.
No, I mean I know what you're saying. As far as as far as a driver goes, you want to hate him, but like
what are they saying?
I want to, but because everybody, his granddaddy gave him this, give him that, but Austin Dillon has a crappy attitude, so I don't like Austin Dillon, and his granddaddy gave him everything. But Ty Gibbs, he has a good attitude. He's a young kid. He's making young kid mistakes still. And honestly, I think no matter how many races he can win a year, it's the mistakes that is going to hold him back from moving up, in my opinion. I mean, you got to get it. You got to be able to put together a clean, solid race every week and consistently in a row before you need to be moved up.
Well, he's consistently won in Xfinity this year, 2 wins.
But he's still making stupid mistakes. I mean, a couple races ago, he was wrecking people on lap 4. Those are things like that's where he needs to clean up at. Once he gets those things cleaned up, he will be unstoppable because he's already, like you said, he's already winning. His winning consistency is already there. But we've seen it in the Xfinity series before. And then you move them up and then let them work through their issues. I mean, I'm okay with that. Whatever it takes. It's hard for me to think you could hold him down another year. I truly believe he's ready to move up.
Gibbs has 3 old horses driving 3 of his 4 cars.
Yeah, I mean he's got Christopher Bell. This is his only young guy. Everybody else is in their 40s plus.
I think Kyle's like 35, but he's been racing since he was. I think
He's
he's
close.
been racing 20 years.
Kyle's 37. Me and Kyle are the same age, so that for some reason, some bar trivia I remembered, and I think it's just because we're the same age. But speaking of age, how about Ross Chastain, 29 years old? That makes 12th driver in a row under the age of 30.
Well, I mean, being close to senior citizen and AARP membership, um, your reaction is not as fast. You're not as fast as you age. It's, basically every day you're closer to death, no matter what age you are. But when you're 40 plus, you're a lot you're past your halfway point.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I just think it's funny that we're seeing a changing of the guards. You're seeing
Well, it's,
you're seeing new teams, new faces, and you
you
got
got a
Ross
new
Chastain.
car going from the H pattern who are 40 years old that are now sequential. You saw Denny blow up his rear end going, what do you do? Go from fifth to reverse or fifth to first while he's doing 120 miles an hour? I mean,
Denny knows what he did there.
yeah, he knows what he did, but that's my opinion.
He's not going to admit it.
But I think you're right. I don't think we're too far off from Denny Hamlin driving for 2311 and Kirk, who's a great driver who has not seemed to have aged in his seat. He has defied aging. I don't think Kirk's going to be long term at 2311.
I want to say he signed a 2-year deal with them, but I could be wrong on that.
And maybe Kyle will replace him at 2311. I don't know. How long is Denny's contract?
I ain't got a clue. I mean, I would think it would be Denny's probably to the age where it's a yearly, 1 or 2 year thing, or 1 year with a second year option, something like that. I mean, I know Kevin Harvick just signed a 2-year deal, so he'll run this year and next year. But honestly, Kurt Busch go into the booth.
He and Joey have done a great job.
Yeah, and here's something else. I was talking about this yesterday with somebody else, and we were kind of just discussing what we thought about the booth this year. And for one, Tony Stewart, I love him in the booth. Don't get me wrong. He's very entertaining. Clint Bowyer is also entertaining, but last weekend at Atlanta, Fox put Jeff Gordon back in the booth, and it was the smoothest running, best transitions. I mean, everything flowed so well and stayed on topic and stayed on track. I didn't feel like watching an ADD child run around a playground. I felt like I was watching a true broadcast with professionals, because Aaron and Mike, they do a great job, the two of them together. And it takes both of them to keep Clint on track. So the three of them together is a solid team, but I think Kurt would do good in the booth. And I know this is going to piss a lot of people off, but even if you don't get somebody in there who can kind of keep the show on the rails, then Clint is not the guy for the booth anymore. Clint cannot be. He can't be that guy. Clint can't be Mr. Organized, Mr. Pay attention. He can't be that guy. Clint's ADD. He's all over the place. I love it.
He did good with Tony Stewart yesterday.
Well, I think Tony Stewart got that personality who keeps Clint in control or keeps him in line.
Tony's got so many different things and options. I mean, who would be a good person to pop in the booth? Kurt, I think Joey's a good driver. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a big fan of him.
I can't
But
stand
Logano is
that
good in the
laugh track.
booth.
I don't know that I could watch the race though with that hyena laugh he has. It looks like a weasel. He looks like the weasel or the rat from Charlotte's Web, and then he has that hyena laugh like from the Lion King. It just doesn't work for me. I cannot stand Joey Logano. Period.
You can train the laugh away.
That's a lot of training, man. I guess they could probably write a check and get rid of that laugh.
No, I think Kirk would be a good addition.
I don't know who you put in the booth. I think you
could put Larry back in there, to be honest with you. But I think he likes staying home in Charlotte and staying in the studio.
I was going to say Jamie Mack. Jamie McMurray. I enjoy Jamie's commentary. What about
me? He's a lot
Shannon? What about Shannon Spake or Jamie Little? Jamie Little has done the commentating or been up in the broadcast booth a couple times in the ARCA series, and I think she does a phenomenal job. I think we're sitting here throwing people at the booth. Let's throw her in the booth and see how it works. I mean,
I think she would do a great job. I mean, look at she's still with PRN. She used to be on.
No, she does Fox. She's a pit reporter for Fox now.
No, I'm talking about Wendy Venturini. She's still on PRN.
Yeah, I actually heard her talking yesterday. I think she enjoys doing the PRN stuff. I don't think she wants to be at every weekend because they rotate kind of, don't they? Every other weekend.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, that's her husband owns Venturini Motorsports, so they've got like half the field in the ARCA series. So
I think Jamie Little would do a good job.
Oh, no doubt. So here's something before we move on to Richmond. One of the things I want to say about COTA, I heard on the teardown with Gluck and Bianchi, I don't know if he was necessarily in the bathroom with the drivers talking to him or just in passing near the bathrooms, but it got one person, he didn't name who, that last week we were pissing in a trough, and here we go to this nice, beautiful track out here in Austin, Texas, and we all get our own urinals to piss in. So COTA has a T-bowl for every B-hole, is what that tells me.
That's nice.
But if you think about it, the Smiths?
No, it's owned by a bunch of other investors. Red McCombs, the Smiths promote it.
Okay.
So they don't own it; they promote it. Yep. So they promote it, but remember that's an F1 facility, and they have some very stringent rules, even for their fans. What was it? Our boss said that it was $1,300 to go to an F1 race.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That's 13 NASCAR races, and that's good seating for 13 NASCAR races.
And I mean, for those that are listening, our daytime job boss.
Yeah.
Not our wives.
Oh, God, no. Look, here's the thing. To everybody listening, Jamie would not spend $1,300 on a race ticket. I guarantee it. 1,000% guarantee it.
Moses could come down from heaven. No, you're not wrong. Moses could come down from heaven and hand me $10 billion.
You still wouldn't do it.
I'm still not going to do it.
I tried to talk you into going to the door bumper clear Dirty Mo Media at Bristol night race experience. And what was that, $1,200, something like that?
Something like that. Yeah. What'd I say? I could buy 100 shares of a certain stock and get 7% return for life. I even gave you
you would never get your return on your investment out of a 4-hour race. And you showed me where you could spend the same amount, and you would make your money back in like 17 years. It was hilarious.
Well, I would quadruple it in 17 years.
I was
and not
literally
have to.
crying. I was laughing so hard at you because I know you. I know you. And
I mean,
okay.
$100 is still a lot of money to go see a race to me. But
well,
I'm
honestly,
I'm a cheap bastard.
Your reply was we could go to Atlanta, sit in the the Club One suites.
Club
for like
One.
$250 a ticket. You get food, or it has private food and drinks, private bathrooms, padded
air
seats,
conditioning, rooftop balcony.
Pass. Yeah, parking pass and pit passes for $250. I mean, that's if you bought a parking pass, a pit pass, and grandstand for the 200 section in the champion, it's going to cost you about $250. So, to me, that's a better deal. Well, it's definitely a better deal, but it's a great value. Not saying that the Dirty Mo Media thing wouldn't be fun, but it's just out of my price range type of fun.
Well, if they said, hey, guys, experience this and brag about it on your podcast, I'd do it.
For free?
Yeah, for free.
Yeah.
I would even get my own hotel room. Yeah, I'll get my own hotel room.
So, I'm not complaining about the commercials, but as we do every week, I'll do the commercial breakdown. So the race total was 195 total minutes long. 39 minutes of that were commercials. There were 79 total non-split screen commercials, 25 total split screen commercials for a total of 104 commercials. Like I said, I'm giving Fox a pass because honestly, the commercial breaks, I kind of enjoyed them. They gave me a break from watching nothing. So I'm not going to complain, but next week we're going to Richmond. Richmond Raceway is a 0.7 mile D-shaped asphalt track. Jamie, if we're heading out to Richmond, where do we not want to stay at?
Man, there's a couple places you do not want to stay at. And the one thing I notice about people in Richmond, they don't just sit around and pontificate on their reviews. They're usually straight and to the point.
I can respect that.
Yeah. And, it's weird. They're not, Southerners like to talk. And isn't Richmond south of the Mason-Dixon line? But anyway.
I don't know.
And,
I think it's right there on it, isn't it?
Maryland is south of the Mason-Dixon.
I always thought Virginia was a northern state, but maybe.
I know. And having grown up in Maryland, I've always fought to be a Southerner, pointing out the Mason-Dixon line is between Maryland and Pennsylvania.
Well, that's an invisible line. You can't expect us Southerners to know where that is. We can't.
Well, the weird thing is,
the double yellow line.
Born and raised in Georgia, moved to Maryland. They made fun of me because I had a Southern accent. Then I moved back home and then make fun of me for having a Maryland accent. Bastards.
Yeah, well,
I got a chip on my shoulder. But anyway,
I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and I obviously don't have an accent whatsoever. So
you have a Brooklyn accent. It's very distinct.
Yeah, I hear it myself.
Yeah.
So tell us about these hotels.
Well, I'm going to tell you about these hotels, but first I want to say some of these nationwide chains seem to pop up every week. So you might want to just say Roadway Inn and Nights Inn. Just scratch them off your list. Just do it. But anyway, I'm going to go with Roadway in Central Richmond. A Danny S. reviewed it on Google, 1 out of 5. And Danny, and it's with an I, so it's female, I believe. That's her pronoun. But she said, thank goodness I only had to stay here for one night. The room was so gross that I slept on a couple of blankets that were luckily in my car. and did not remove my shoes at all. Blood, cigarette burns, hair, and food were stuck in the bed. The tile at the room entrance and bathroom had dirt footprints, sticky spots, and all manner of other debris on it. The carpet looked relatively new. You could tell because it was peeling away from the wall and the underside looked new, but even that hadn't been vacuumed in who knows how long. One armchair smelled like smoke, and the other small chair was missing a wheel and kept falling over. The elevator seemed to work for a few people, but not reliably, so we took the stairs. There was a drunk or otherwise messed up guy wandering back and forth at the main entrance, asking people for random stuff, and repeatedly bothering the front desk staff, who had to keep reminding him that they were full. Luckily, our room was on the other side of the compound, so it was a little less sketchy for us going in and out. The nicest part of this hole in the stairwell, which smelled the least out of all the other rooms in the building. So I guess they were sniffing everything. Good luck, Roadway.
So they had blood, cigarette burns, hair, and food stuck to the bed. Dude,
that is nasty.
She had to sleep with her shoes on. I think I would have slept in my car before I slept in the hotel room with blood.
What concoction cocktail made all that crap stick in the bed?
That's what I
Human
want to know.
Or manufactured cocktail? That is just disgusting. And why is this carpet that's new peeling up at the corner? Is that where the crackheads hide their crack? But the other thing is, why is she going around smelling things like a freaking aardvark?
I mean, what it could be, we have, unfortunately, spent 15 minutes in a dirty, nasty, sleazy, disgusting, god-awful hotel room ourselves. You can't hide from the smell. And if there's blood and cigarette burns and hair and food, I mean, the food's probably rotted. Cigarette smoke stinks when it's fresh, so I can imagine old cigarette smoke smells even worse.
Well, don't forget at the Beach Butt Inn, they had that motorcycle parked in the lobby on the other side of the glass with the lady who wore the weightlifting gloves, the real anorexic one. I think the stench of oil covered up whatever stink was in the lobby. And that was preferable, probably, to what we would have smelled.
That motorcycle is what they used with their PPE money. They bought them a new motorcycle, and that's how she gets to work every day. And it's so nasty outside at the beach house and that she has to park it in the lobby. I mean, I understand that.
I just remembered yesterday that motorcycle was an infield motorcycle, which I had never heard of.
Did you look it up?
So yesterday during the race, one of those millions of laps where they were single file for an hour, I Googled infield, and it used to be, back in the day, they made machine guns for England. Then they made motorcycles that were supposedly pretty badass, and they went bankrupt. They're now made in India. So all it is a name now.
I thought it was an Indian motorcycle. I thought that's what it said on it, but I really wasn't paying attention.
Actually went to the Butthole Inn,
found a picture,
and looked up images, and it was an infield. I don't know. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, but whatever.
Infidel.
It was an infidel. We were the infidels.
Yeah, we were. That was.
We almost shacked up with ISIS, dude. We would have woken up the next morning with bombs attached to our chest.
We would not have woken up the next morning. It's what I was afraid of. That's why we didn't stay there. Where else? What's the next?
Well, we got.
don't want to stay in?
We got. This has a meat straw in it. The Richmond Motel.
Oh yeah, that sounds nice.
I don't know. It's named after the city, which never is a good sign, I don't think.
Anytime it starts with an M and not an H, as in motel versus hotel, it's bad.
Well, this is Beautiful Sea. That's who did the review. They gave it 1 out of 5 on Google. And this is a little strange. Had to call 911 last night because the freaking lights went out. You called 911. The lights going out.
Yeah,
It was that sketchy? Holy
my,
shit, they're coming
not my
after
first
me.
call.
I asked for my money back. They don't do they don't do refunds. They did give me half back and I left. I lost money because of them. Not only that, I transferred bed bugs from them. Now I have red bumps. The law sucks and wonder why I be whooping people's asses. Listen to this. The law sucks and wonder why I be whooping people's asses. Is this Will Smith at the Richmond Hotel smacking people?
Oh man, where's he staying at the Chris Rock Inn?
Yeah. The law sucks and wonder why I be whooping people's asses. I was there for about 2.5 hours. As soon as I pulled up, there were a lot of men watching me. If I was fresh meat. I think they meant as if, but that's not fresh meat. So, is that a happy sack? I don't know. Well, beautiful is probably female, so maybe it's a happy sack she's got, not a meat straw.
Maybe.
I had to tell them I'm not a trick. Isn't a trick the customer for prostitutes?
Oh no, but keep going because it gets
I don't
better.
know either. Somebody yelled out hood rat.
Hood rat.
I don't know who they were speaking of. I damn sure don't look like or carry myself that way. It looked like a severe row of trap units. Go figure.
All right.
I don't know what a trap unit is. Do I need to Google that?
Search it up. Because I have no idea what a trap unit is, but there's so
Is that
many
like the police?
There's so many good things in here. I mean, in one sentence, he said he had to call, or she, or he had to call 911 last night because the lights went out. Then he asked for his money back. So he calls 911 because the power goes out, asks 911 for his money back, and 911 don't do refunds. He lost money because of them fools. Not only that, he had bed bugs and he transferred them. I don't know where he transferred them to, but he transferred them. And then
forget the law sucks and wonder why I be whooping people's asses.
The law sucks and wonder why I be whooping people's asses. I was there for 2 hours. I'm a hood rat. I mean, dude, I want to meet Beautiful Sea because this is awesome. Who called? If my power goes out, the last people I call is 911. Heck, if my power's on, I'm not calling 911.
Don't you want to just drive by and take a look at it?
Oh God, we need to go to the Richmond race just to go to the Richmond motel.
I mean, we'll stay somewhere else. Keep the windows up, doors locked, and a gun in the console. But
we'll stay at the Motel 6 or something. I'm sure there's a nice Motel 6 in Virginia.
I don't know. Motel 6s aren't very good either. In fact,
do you have a
rodeo? Oh no, Roadway. Roadway is the other crappy one.
I thought we had a Motel 6 here. Yeah, you got one. Motel 6.
Oh yeah, Motel 6
in Virginia. Yeah. Run fast.
In Sandstone, Virginia is just south of the track. I looked it up. Yeah, Run Fast. And this is LC. 1 out of 5. Run Fast, rooms are dirty, worn, and very few things actually work. Front office staff is rude and misleading. We switched rooms, and the second room was dirtier than the first. When I brought the information over, staff was indifferent. Hair on walls and beds, mucus on walls, and food spills. Lights inside the room don't turn off completely. Instead, they flicker like a Christmas tree. Both beds and room had dirty sheet. Walls were dirty. They're emphasizing those walls. Bathroom vent looks like it was never wiped down. It was 10 pounds of dirt. They quote one price on the phone, and when you show up, they quote you something else. Phones in room don't work. Now, who still uses a phone in the room?
I think they just throw the phone in the room for looks. But if it worked, you'd be able to call the front desk easily, so you know it doesn't work in a place like this. But more importantly, how the heck do you know that's mucus on the walls?
I know. I don't think I could discern dry. If you eat boogers, do you scratch a little off and take a taste? I mean, how do you know?
Mucus would dry immediately. So there might be something on the wall, but it ain't mucus, and I dang sure wouldn't be touching it or testing it.
What does dried mucus even look like? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's not mucus on the wall.
Well, maybe, and I'm just a little curious. Next time I get a cold or COVID, because I'll probably get it another 10 times.
And sneeze on the wall?
Well, I'll just, after 4 or 5 hours, look at the tissues I threw away and undo them to see what dried mucus looks like. Maybe they're a nurse, and they've seen dry mucus.
Maybe.
But why do the lights flicker?
I don't know. Maybe they should have called 911.
Well, you see, I did a little investigation. 2 miles. Well, a mile, as the bird flies or the crow flies, is the Richmond battlefield. And in the battlefield is Cold Harbor. Cold Harbor is the only battle in the Civil War that General Grant regrets because so many Union soldiers died there. Like 5,000, and the South lost like 1,500. But if you Google it, you will see Cold Harbor at night. They randomly hear soldiers marching and cannons booming. You can read into that what you want, but I can tell you, having lived in the area and an ancestor of mine fought in that battle, I felt weird there. He actually had a cannonball explode and he got sent home to New Jersey.
Oh, he didn't die?
And he didn't die. Luckily, he didn't. I wouldn't be here if he died. That's how direct he is in my family tree. He did get like $5 a month for his injury for the rest of his life. So some kind of disability. Found that on Ancestry.com. We're not endorsed by them or paid by them, but found out he got $5 a month, but I felt weird there. And I'm not a big believer in that weird stuff, but I did ask a park ranger, and I showed him what company of the New Jersey Volunteers he was in and all that stuff. And we went over to that area, and my hair stood on end. And I said to the park ranger, I said, "Look at this, man. I feel freaked out. And my hair standing on end." I thought maybe I had built up so much doing family history that it just was eerie. And he said, "No, that happens all the time." And then I said, "Shit," and I left.
Yeah, I'd have been out of there quick.
Yeah, it was just.
Yeah, I don't play around with stuff like that. It's just unnecessary.
Well, I don't know what it is, but it's something.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's good, bad, evil.
No reason to tempt it.
Exactly. And I've seen too many horror movies that I couldn't get through. That's just a box I don't want to open.
I've seen Devil's Rejects and House of a Thousand Corpse, and I'm not messing with evil because evil really exists. It's obvious because those are some evil movies.
Well,
All right, well, we're
there's
going to
just some on.
we're going
We're
to
getting too
Richmond.
dark.
Yeah, let's get back on racing. So, you got any track history before we go through our fantasy picks for the week?
I do, but I have one other thing that was a curiosity. If you've got a couple of minutes,
I've got all the time in the world. What you got?
being from Georgia, home of Coca-Cola and Chick-fil-A, it's just who we are. Chick-fil-A and Coca-Cola. And you can always, I've never been to a Chick-fil-A where you can get Pepsi because that's a sin in Georgia.
Oh, that's fact.
And I've never, ever in my entire life saw a bad review of a Chick-fil-A. Ever. Until I was researching the hotels. And I just want to read a couple because I'm shocked. Completely shocked.
When you were telling me about this today, it really blew my mind, honestly. I
read one review.
If it had just been one review, I would be okay. But like you said, there's 6 bad reviews, and they're all fairly recent. It's not like we had to go back 15 years to get them, but I think you need to read the ones with the dog shit one.
All right. So this is Total L from
Total
Ashburn,
LB.
which is in for Total Loser. Yeah. Total LB. Their review is dog shit customer service, dog shit service, dog shit sandwiches, as well as dog shit fries, dog shit drinks, and just as much dog shit uniforms. So I'm thinking, this is a pissed off employee. Until I read the next one, and the next one, and the next one. Until I'm like, there's something here we don't know about. And I don't know. I'm going to write to Chick-fil-A and see what's going on. Something. Send them an email. But then the very next one, Lexi S., she even says, and I believe Lexi. I don't know why. I do. I don't really write reviews because I don't really care. Because I'm 19. But for this one, I had to. If I could, I would give this place 0 stars. I would. I come in and I ask for a chicken sandwich with gluten because I'm allergic. The lady, Sasha, rolls her eyes and yelled, "What sauce, lady?" I have very sensitive eardrums, so I asked her to calm down, please, because she was making my ears hurt. I told her the sauce, and when she went to get it, employees kept sticking their heads around the corner staring at me. She came back and threw the bag in my face. I said, "Let me speak to your manager." The manager came. She left my drink on the counter. I don't know why that's important, but I think later we might see why. And the manager rudely said, "What?" I said, "This is uncalled for. I just wanted to get some food." The manager went and gave me the finger and said to leave both her and Sasha. I looked at my food real quick to make sure it was good, and they got me gluten bread. They all started laughing when I told them that they gave me the wrong bread and that it could kill me.
Death by bread. It happens.
Under her breath, I heard Sasha say, "Die, bitch." I lost it and threw my drink in their faces, which I regretted and said sorry. Then Sasha grabbed my bag, took out the bread, and tried to throw it in my mouth.
That's a hell of a shot.
I ran out. Luckily, I didn't pay. But on the way out, the manager had the nerve to say, "Make sure to give us a good rating on Yelp for our service." Wow.
I wonder if they said, "My pleasure."
I mean,
as they did all this. I want to say none of this is true, just because I've been
there's
going to.
more.
I know. I mean, I believe it. I've seen the reviews. I mean, it's there. I agree. I mean, the first this one was Lexi. She's 19, so she's being very much over dramatic. I think in some of these parts, like my very sensitive eardrums. How loud was Sasha really being? You know, I just don't. I don't know. I think she's over exaggerating some here, but I don't know that. Like I said, some of these other reviews are very bad. Now, Lexi is from California, so I mean, maybe that's plays something into what she was expecting in Virginia. Maybe
But
she was just
we live
unhappy
in,
anyway.
you literally live in the next town down from where their headquarters is.
I know. I mean, I go to church with some people who work inside that headquarters building, so
I
I
go
think
to
I
church
think
with
I'm
two
actually.
operators of Chick-fil-A. I
Yeah, I
don't know
think
how they do it. I think they own 50% and Chick-fil-A owns the other 50%, but they run two Chick-fil-A. I've never been to a crappy Chick-fil-A in my entire life.
well, if you go to the one outside the racetrack in Virginia, then
Well, we
you're
need to go to that one in the Richmond Hotel. We need to go, instead of going to the Xfinity race, we go to the Richmond Hotel.
and
And
then
I just want to experience this.
and the Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, I mean, Eric W's is literally the worst Chick-fil-A I've ever been to. Every time I go, I think this has to be the one time there's no mistake, but it happens every time. The chicken's soggy. The chicken isn't comparable to any Chick-fil-A I've ever had around the country. I've had the spicy sandwich as well as the original pictured, which he shows a real nasty, soggy picture of a sandwich. I also got nuggets, which are soggy as well. After receiving a soggy sandwich, I returned it and asked for a new one. The second one in the picture was also soggy. I
Yes.
mean, here's just an MFP. The service sucks. The workers don't listen and will get your order wrong 9 out of 10 times. SK, and this is on Virginia Commonwealth University. And I have a theory. But anyway, they say, what could go wrong? Everything. Literally the worst restaurant I've ever encountered. The staff was ignorant, filthy, disgusting, and rude. They seem to take great pride in making customers suffer. They lack any ambition and apparently in causing confrontations. So that leads credence to Lexi. They enjoy confrontations. Why the corporate office hasn't shut the place down is beyond me. And then we have one more. Laverne B. from Richmond. Worst Chick-fil-A I've ever been to. The girl Beatrice that waited on me had attitude for days, which is weird. She go there many times. She didn't want to take my order to begin with. No pleasant greeting. When my drink was fixed incorrectly and I asked nicely to have it corrected, she rolled her eyes. I asked for honey roasted barbecue sauce to go with my meal, and again with much attitude, and was told they didn't have any of that. However, when I picked up my bag at the other end of the counter, there was plenty. No greeting, no thank you, no my pleasure. These people definitely were not trained in the Chick-fil-A way of doing things, which I totally agree on.
Oh, no
Completely.
doubt. No, my pleasure is a problem for me. Like, hey, full disclosure, Chick-fil-A is the only restaurant that can have 7,500 cars in their drive-through window and get every single one of them through in 20 minutes or less. Like, if they would have had Chick-fil-A running the COVID test, they would have never been allowed to test. Period. So this blows my mind.
It's amazing. And
I'm
as
heartbroken, honestly.
Brad is my witness, I hate chicken. I hate chicken. I won't eat it. It disgusts me. But what is my favorite fast food restaurant? It's Chick-fil-A
Chick-fil-A.
because it's always clean. I like their waffle fries, and I'll get a Coke. I will never argue with anyone that says, we go, where are we going to lunch? And they say Chick-fil-A. I like that choice. It's my favorite choice. I just won't eat their chicken.
Well, we know now
where not to stay and not to eat.
So we're going to Richmond.
So now I
Tell me
have
a little
some
bit. Tell me some facts about the.
little bit of Richmond Raceway. That's its name now, Richmond Raceway. And I'm going to give you, there's a long list of former names, but it opened in October 12th, 1946. It has formerly been known as the Richmond International Raceway from 1989 to 2017. Richmond Fairgrounds Raceway, 1969 to 1988. I attended races when it was the Fairground Raceway. Virginia State Fairgrounds, 1964 to 1968. Atlantic Rural Fairgrounds. This place is close to Richmond. Did it used to be that half a mile out of Richmond it got rural? 1955 to 1963. And then the Atlantic Rural.
Well, here, let me give you the statisticals for this week's race at Richmond. So I did the last 10 races here, and you got Denny finish a 5.2, a total of 703 laps led. He has 3 total wins here in his career. And the last 10 races, you got Joey Logano with an average finish of 5X with an average finish of 6.0 and 3 wins. KFB with an average finish of 6.9 and 2 wins. He has 6 total wins here, though. And then you have Brad K with an average finish of 7.3 and 1 win. Now, before I tell you the drivers I picked this week, Jamie, Denny, Joey, Truex, KFB, and they have not shown me anything this season that makes me want to put them on my fantasy lineup. So for this week, I'm going to go with Daniel Suarez, who has 3 top 10s at Richmond, who has been running strong all season. He's only run 9 races at Richmond, but he's run good all year. And then for my dark horse, I'm going to go with Cole Custer, who has 4 races here, and he actually has an Xfinity win. I mean, Alex Bowman won here last year, so he wouldn't be a bad.
I'm going with Ryan Blaney. He has been up front every race, and he hasn't got one yet. My dark horse, you're going to crap your pants. Bubba Wallace.
What makes you think Bubba Wallace is going to win here as a dark horse pick?
Because I think, and I'm just acting like I'm getting inside of his brain. He's heard all this crap about he's a super speedway driver. That's all he is. That's all he'll ever be. He's got Kurt pushing him. I read an article on The Athletic where he admitted Kirk is pushing him. Kirk will take him into the shop, watch tape, and he'll critique not only himself, but critique Bubba and show him what other drivers do, when they do it, how they do it, their habits. I think Kurt is just going to be an amazing coach for Bubba, and I think it's going to drop, and Bubba's going to win.
All right.
That's it.
I'm not going to argue with you. I mean, anything could happen. I think that's definitely a long. Why not?
And I think
right, man,
it'll be he and Blaney up front.
Blaney's running good all season, so I definitely could see that. That doesn't surprise me as a pick of yours, but Bubba Wallace definitely surprised me. But I guess we'll see next week on the show. I might be going, hey, I was completely wrong, Jamie.
Nah, we won't force each other to admit we're wrong.
All right, man. Well, good race. Looking forward to Richmond. Other than that, Twitter at Car Backwards. Check out our racecarbackwards.com. Remember to subscribe and like our show, follow, tell your friends. Thanks for listening, everybody. Have a great week.
Adios.
listening to a race car spelled backwards.